Good morning and welcome. I'm so glad to be with you this morning. I hope you'll join in giving voice to your spirits with me. Voice still and small, deep inside all, I hear you call, singing. In dark and rain, sorrow and pain, still we'll remain singing, calming my fears, quenching my tears through all the years, singing. Strong is what we make each other. Strong is what we make each other. Flowing through me, flowing through you. Birthing life, birthing life. Pain and vision intertwining. Pain and vision intertwining, flowing through me, flowing through you, birthing life, birthing life. Love and justice guide our journey. Love and justice guide our journey. Flowing through me, flowing through you, birthing life, birthing life.
Good morning and welcome everyone to White Bear Unitarian Universalist Church. I'm Kathy Sudrow, serving on your board of directors. Service participants today include Reverend Sarah Goodman, Reverend Jack Gady, Amy Peterson-Derrick, Jill Heberlin, and Victoria Safford, supported by Aaron Scott and Anna Garris. Music today is from Carol Coette, Craig Hansen, the WBUUC Choir, directed by Thaxter Cuneo and supported by Steve Goranson, and the Charlotte's Web Ensemble. Today after the service at 11:15, we hope that you'll join us for Cyber Social Hour. We'll put the Zoom link and easy instructions in the chat box. Our 2021 Pledge campaign has started strong. As of this morning, we have raised $536,492 toward our goal of $920,000, with pledges received from 184 households, all to support the programs of our beloved church community. This year, as we look forward to planning a return to in-person gatherings, it matters more than ever that we get our pledges in on time. There's a link in the chat so you can do it today. We'll hear next from congregation members about why this matters. Welcome everyone to our church. Together we grow our souls and serve the world.
I feel at home at WBUUC because whether attending in person or online, the services move me and I have a chance to connect with people in our church afterwards.
I feel at home at WBUC because I always make new friends there and they never judge me.
Something that makes me feel welcome at WBUUC is the Children's Chapel service. It's always fun and welcoming, and they like to hear anything I have to say.
And I appreciate the church because of the diversity of perspectives that it encourages, and it'll allow my children to explore those perspectives in a way that I never was able to.
And for all of these reasons, we hope you join us in making a generous donation to help WBUUC.
Yes, please do.
Bye.
I have WBUC to thank for a lot of things, but perhaps the biggest thanks is for the ways that my body has grown to approach the action of thinking. I think a lot. I think that I think a lot more than the average person my age. And WBUC has taught me to channel my thinking and think about the world through songs and hymns, poetry, metaphors, passages, their monthly themes, embracing an ever-changing language. I even think in earth cycles and season changes and migration patterns. So I think in more profound ways, and that's largely in part because I grew up at a church like this. So please join me in making a generous pledge this year to the place that teaches us all how to think in better and ultimately cooler ways.
Come in. Come into this space which we make holy by our presence. Come in with all your vulnerabilities and strengths, fears and anxieties, loves and hopes. For here you need not hide, nor pretend, nor be anything other than who you are and who you are called to be. Come into this space where we can heal and be healed, forgive and be forgiven. Come into this space where the ordinary is sanctified, the human is celebrated, the compassionate is expected. Come into this space. Together we make it a holy space. And welcome. Jill Heberlin will light the chalice.
Good morning. I'm Jill Heberlin. And when I started to consider healing, the practice of balancing, my mind went first to the techniques of physical balance that I learned and then taught years ago as a dancer and a dance teacher. And it's all about intention. To direct your energy down through your body, through your feet, into the earth, to direct your energy up to the sky through your crown, to spread your wings wide, and to reach with your heart to the front and behind, to the back. All of this energetic counterbalancing does not bring us to a place of static being, but rather to a suspended place of dynamic, living interaction between our core, our central being, and the wider world, with the forces of the wider world. And that, for me, is a place of healing. So this morning, I light the chalice. In support of all energies being directed toward balancing, toward seeking balance in our bodies, in our lives, and in our world. Amen.
Join me in our opening words. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
Good morning. Listening to a story can teach us all so much, but sometimes it is in the telling of a story, sometimes our own stories, that we learn and grow. A year ago, on our very first Sunday worshiping apart like this, I introduced all of you to a ritual that our children and youth have been practicing each week in their in-person gatherings. I introduced this practice to all of you in the hopes that this ritual might help hold all of you and all of us in our homes and in our virtual spaces too. This ritual is one of simply noticing and naming, calling us to take the time to notice what it is that we are holding in our hearts in the midst of a busy and sometimes hurting world, and to notice that each and every person in our circle, in our world, also holds something in their hearts. And we remind one another that part of our work in this community is to make space for naming what it is that we are holding when we feel ready to do so, and to remember that none of us holds it alone. I'm going to invite you into that practice together now. To find an object nearby. It can be any object. I like to use a stone. Some like to use a small toy or something else that is special that fits in the palm of your hand. And just hold it in your hand. And take a breath and feel its weight and its shape, its imperfections. And take another breath and allow your attention to move from the weight that is in your hand to what it is that you are holding in your heart. What is it that you're holding in your heart this morning? Maybe you hold joy or sorrow, worry or excitement, exhaustion, or even silliness. Whatever it is, just notice it, hold it. And when you are ready, take the object in your hand and set it down, and we'll hold it together. If you feel comfortable, name out loud what it is that you've been holding in your heart. This year, we have kept to this practice in our Zoom chapels and our Zoom youth group gatherings, each week making space for noticing and naming and holding space for one another as we take turns sharing one by one around our little circle of boxes. And we have held so many things together: birthdays, losses of pets, loneliness, worry, excitement, sleepiness, sadness, and silliness. And sometimes there have been days when some of us weren't quite sure how to name what it was that we were holding. And so we held the silence. Each time we have gathered together, part of our work is to hold one another, but part of our work is also to notice how our time together changes us. And so at the end of each chapel, each youth group, we pick back up our stone and name one thing we are bringing with us out of our circles. Because the moments that we spend together change each and every one of us. Our hearts shift, our souls grow even the tiniest bit, and we learn something new or make new connections. We bring so much into our circles with us, and we leave changed by one another.
In that same spirit, take a breath with me as we pause for a moment of prayer and meditation. Lift your shoulders up to your ears and let them fall down, creating even more space for inhale and exhale. Spirit of life and love, spirit of mystery, wonder, and change. We feel your presence here among us today, blowing in and among us with every inhale, and stirring among us and back out to the world with every exhale. As we pause right here, we acknowledge the complexity of our now. We feel the delight of memory, the grief of a heavy milestone, the hope of spring and newness. We feel the swirl of resilience, loss, transformation, pain, and warmth. Together, we enter into this thin space, asking for the deepening of our breath, the steadiness of our movement, and the clarity of our path. This morning, we hold in our hearts the names of many people dear to us. We focus our energy on sending them a blessing for the morning. Into this very silence, we speak their names in love. Breathing in a spirit of reverence and breathing out a spirit of hope, we pray. Amen.
Please join me in singing I Am Willing, a song written by Holly Near. I am open and I am willing, for to be hopeless would seem so strange. It dishonors those who go before us, so lift me up to the light of change. There's a hurting in my family. There is a sorrow in my town. There's a panic in the nation. There is wailing the whole world round. May the children see more clearly. May the elders be more wise. May the winds of change caress us, even though it burns our eyes. Give me a mighty yoke to hold my confusion. Give me a desert to hold my fears. Give me a sunset to hold my wonder. Give me an ocean to hold my tears. I am open and I am willing, for to be hopeless would seem so strange. It dishonors those who go before us, so lift me up to the light of change.
Every financial gift to our congregation goes to support the programs we've come to rely on as anchors in our lives: gathering space and materials for children, youth and families, choral rehearsals and music, classes and small groups, justice work and public witness, pastoral care, rites of passage, Sunday services. You can contribute to the offering today by sending a check or by following the easy prompt to text to give. Thank you for your generous support.
The first reading is from the Divine Comedy by Dante Alighieri. Midway on our life's journey, I found myself in dark woods, the right road lost. To tell about those woods is hard, so tangled and rough and savage that thinking of it now, I feel the old fear stirring. Death is hardly more bitter. And yet to treat the good I found there as well, I'll tell what I saw, though how I came to enter I cannot well say, being so full of sleep in whatever moment it was that I began to blunder off the true path. But when I came to stop, below a hill that marked one end of the valley that had pierced my heart with terror, I looked up toward the crest and saw its shoulders already mantled in rays of that bright planet that shows the road to everyone, whatever our journey. Then I could feel the terror begin to ease that had churned in my heart's lake all through the night.
From Robert Frost. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both and be one traveler. Long I stood and looked down one as far as I could to where it bent in the undergrowth, then took the other as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim because it was grassy and wanted wear, though as for that the passing there had worn them really about the same. And both that morning equally lay in leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day. Yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh somewhere ages and ages hence. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by. And that has made all the difference.
The third reading is from Denise Levertov. As swimmers dare to lie face to the sky, and water bears them, as hawks rest upon air, and air sustains them, so would I learn to attain free fall and float into Creator Spirit's deep embrace, knowing no effort earns that all-surrounding grace.
People get ready, there's a train a-coming. You don't need no baggage, you just get on board. Just a little faith will keep the diesels humming. You don't need no ticket, you just get on board. Ooh. train is coming. You won't need no ticket. You just get on board. Let's have a little faith that we can keep those diesels humming. You don't need no baggage. You just get on board. You don't need no baggage. You just get on board.
Last year, just exactly a year ago, we sang to steady ourselves, to ready ourselves for what we did not yet know would be a year. As we watch the news and the troubling numbers roll in from China, then Washington State, from Italy, and then New York, we sang 1 year ago, 53 Sundays ago. Voice still and small, deep inside all. I hear you call, singing. In storm and rain, sorrow and pain still will remain, singing. Calming our fears, quenching our tears through all the years, singing. So we sang then, and we sing on. On that Sunday, March 15th, 2020, way back on the other side of everything, you found the link and logged on. We found the computers and cameras and duct tape and bandwidth to go live. And we sang on that same Sunday morning, I am open and I am willing, for to be hopeless would seem so strange. It dishonors those who went before us. So lift us up to the light of change. There's a hurting in our family. There's a sorrow in our town. There's panic in the nation. There's wailing the whole world round. And in the midst of all that, that song is a prayer for what we knew we could trust. An oak tree, a desert, a sunset, an ocean, our children, our elders, each other. We are coming through this year. We can see that now, that we will come through, not unscathed, but we are coming through. And like all survivors of shipwrecks and blizzards and political insurrections, like all survivors of terrible plagues, we are asking, we'll be forever asking, what for? For what have we been saved, been spared, when so many others have been lost? More than 500,000 lost. More than 2,643,000 lost. Soon we'll take up our old lives like treasure again, the tiniest daily details, the most mundane things, and cherish it all as never before. And at the same time, we are wondering now, what will be different forever and should be? Beautiful, complicated, this threshold we're on. Some of you lost parents this year, and grandparents, spouses, colleagues, cousins, friends, neighbors. Some marriages in our congregation did not survive this year. And in some cases, maybe that was inevitable, maybe it was good. In other cases, absolutely not. Some friendships grew deeper and stronger, were forged. Others frayed away, maybe beyond repair. Some of you have children who've been tossed in the turbulence of fear and isolation, and it's going to take a while to feel okay, to really be okay again. And others welcomed babies this year. Amazing. One was born the weekend we shut down. And we can't wait to see them all, to welcome them, to love them all up. And I am not positive, but I am pretty sure that our new database, Breeze, can track all of the pandemic puppies and the new cats brought into your households this year. So you want to log in and sign up to Breeze. There have been some changes. And I say all this to remind us to be careful now. None of us knows how everyone else is coming through this time. Some will emerge with their health, their families, their money, their psyches, all in pretty good shape. Others have known losses they can't yet even speak, and things are really hard and will be. So as we start to come back here, we need to be careful, be gentle, be tender, be quiet, listen. Listen and let the stories be told. Let the stories be held. All this sorrow, all this joy, all this loss, all this hope. So much change. This week on Friday, the governor announced the lifting of many restrictions. And just as a year ago, we could not have believed that the shutdown was possible. So now it's hard to believe a little bit in reopening. But we do, and we will, it will come. This week, also on Friday, the president signed legislation shifting maybe everything with aid for food, for rent, for mortgages, healthcare, vaccines, job benefits, tax benefits, stimulus checks, relief for school districts, small businesses, tribal governments. They're saying it could potentially slash poverty by 1/3. Child poverty by half. It could be reversing the decades-long toxic trickery of trickle-down economics. At last, it is a rising moral tide meant to lift all boats, starting with the poor for the first time since the New Deal, starting with the poor. The bill is supported by more than 70% of the American people. Lift us up, we sang last year, and we will keep on singing to the light of change. Make us strong to press for it relentlessly and to cheer it when it comes. Closer to home, also this week, they're choosing jurors now who will hear the case, decide the case for the former officer who killed George Floyd. And more crucially, this is reckoning for all of us. Because what does justice mean in a country where Black bodies, brown bodies, poor bodies, trans bodies are treated as disposable, beaten as dispensable, reprehensible, dangerous, worthless, disappeared again and again and again? 10 months out from that murder, 1 year exactly past the murder of Breonna Taylor, may we be steadfast in the days ahead, hard days ahead, holding to love and unflinching in our prayers, our work, our demand for justice. Open us to the light of change, the harsh and healing light, searing light, the holy light of change. What would it even look like? Imagination is the hardest work of transformation. Winds are blowing everywhere through everything, reminding us change does not just happen. It is made by hand, by hope, and sometimes you can only see it looking back, trace the breadcrumbs of intention, and tell the story then of how you got here, how we all came through. And there are stories to be told when you're back together in this space, stories of a year survived, and you'll be telling them for years. At times this year, I know for some of you, some of us, it has been really hard. It has felt at certain points like enough already, like there was no way through, or you couldn't find the way, the right way to do the pandemic, to be a person or a parent or a family or a teacher or a kid properly, to get it right, find the path. But you know what? There is no path. And it's amazing that you've made a way at all. Sometimes, say in certain kinds of mathematics, I think, there is a right way and a wrong way. And your task is to find the answer, figure it out, choose it, go there. But so often, more often in this life, there's no right way, no wrong way. You make your way by going. And I'm not talking here so much about matters of ethics or morality or moral relativism. Talking about the ways we each all put our lives together as best we can. And then after the fact, we take a breath, look back, and maybe find a thread of meaning, a thread we spun ourselves actually, like spiders. I don't believe in fate. in destiny. We make the way by going step by step, by day, by little and by little. And if somebody had handed you a map last year on March 14th, it would have been worthless by April. So often in this life, the messy, raggedy days of our lives, what matters is not the decision to do this specific thing or that thing, but the way you make your choice, the principles and values guiding you, your core beliefs, the hope, the love, the still small voice within, the way your North Star shines to guide your spirit and your heart, at least to do no harm. Sometimes there's just no right way, no wrong way. There's just getting up in the morning, doing what you can, staying true to what you can. What I love in those old familiar lines from Robert Frost is precisely this, that it doesn't matter which road the traveler takes. At the end, he says it made a difference, but that's because the traveler made it make a difference, made meaning as they went. It's not like a cartoon where one sign says heaven and the other says hell, and the choice is crystal clear. The choice generally isn't. What you're true to, what's clear, is what matters, what you love. And so at some point in that poem, the traveler just stops overthinking it and starts walking. Sarah read to us from Dante familiar lines as well, maybe the best known passage in La Divina Commedia, written in the 14th century, the 1300s. So this one tells of a different forest path where the traveler is scared and lost. They've strayed from their trail and can't find their way. They're confused, they're exhausted, they're going in circles, they're lonely, they're scared. And surely we've all been there, right? We've all been there most recently right now, because there's nothing like a global pandemic to knock you off the trail. And no doubt we've all been there at other times also, uncertain, unsure. In this story, the traveler stops, no idea where to go. They rub their eyes, take a breath, and happen to see coming over the hill just before sunrise, the light. I looked up toward the crest and saw its shoulders already mantled in rays of that bright planet, the sun, that shows the road to everyone, whatever our journey. Then I could feel the terror begin to ease that had churned in my heart's lake all through the night. By chance, they look up and they realize, not everything is lost at all, just the opposite, in fact. The sun keeps rising and shining, and you begin to believe that going forward is sort of a possibility. In fact, it's the only possibility. And you put one foot in front of the other and lead with love and hope and some kind of faith that way will open. That's what Quakers say. Not the way, not the right way or the one true way, but way will open. You are led and sustained by the light within, holy light, your spirit's light, and or by the light of the world, the persistently radiant natural world, and or by the light of companions who are coaxing you on from their gleaming Zoom screens, reminding you that though you feel alone and physically you are, you actually aren't, not at all. We see you there. We've seen you all here. We are with you. So I am thinking, of course, about pathways now and journeys and roads that diverge. At the end of this church year, sometime this summer, our ways will part. And I feel like Dante's traveler, both a little lost right now and increasingly clear in the light of this moment that leaving is right for me and right for you. It's time to go on. The reading that I maybe should have chosen, because I do feel it, is from Tolkien. The road goes ever on and on down from the door where it began. Now far ahead the road has gone, and I must follow if I can, pursuing it with weary feet until it joins some larger way where many paths and errands meet. And whither then? I cannot say. I really can't, but I know it's time to go. How does a minister answer their calling? Sometimes by coming even to an unpronounceable, unanticipated place in the Midwest, halfway across the country to the land of lakes, somewhere between my ocean and the other ocean. Sometimes you answer by coming, as Ross and I did in 1999 with our kindergartner and our trust and my hope and intention to serve our movement and the sacred and this church, not in that order, to serve the sacred and this congregation and our movement as best I could with heart, mind, soul, and strength. Sometimes we answer our calling by coming and we find out later why we came. Sometimes we answer by staying, even for many years, but hopefully not too many. And sometimes we answer our calling as ministers by going when it's time. And whither then, I cannot say. To me right now, it feels a little bit like free fall in a good way, the way in the reading from Denis Levertov that Jack read to us. As swimmers dare to lie face to sky and water bears them. As hawks rest upon air and air sustains them, so would I learn to attain free fall and float into Creator Spirit's deep embrace, knowing no effort earns that all-surrounding grace. I'm not leaving for another church or another job, not right away. I'm not leaving to retire, but to learn about free fall and to listen for the work that calls to me next. There's no right way, I know that. And I know way will open. You'll hear more soon from the board, and there'll be conversations about what happens next. The UUA will help you find an interim lead minister he'll be here probably 2 years, shaking out the cobwebs, helping you speak what you hope for the future. You'll be in the search process then, a national search for a new settled lead minister whom I hope will stay a long time. You will welcome a new minister. And like me, and like Gail CV before me, and Ted Tollefson before her, and Derek Kiewat, and Charles Grady, and Dick Sykes, all of them, like all of us, that minister will cherish you and learn from you and tear their hair out sometimes, watch it literally go from all brown to all white in the mirror 1 year, and be so grateful and honored and humbled to be trusted for a while, to walk with you a while, to welcome your babies and catch your children, sit silently in awe and respect with your youth, marry everybody who comes wanting to be married, and pray for your dead who become our own dead. So beloved are they, so beloved are you in our hearts, in my heart. Your new minister will hold all this in strong hands. And then someday, with love and sadness, all this sorrow, all this joy, they'll also pass it on because it won't be theirs as it is not mine to hold. The church is yours. The church is you. The church is what remains. My call to ministry within Unitarian Universalism will call me to cut ties with you once I go, because there's no other way for you to move forward and me to move forward, which is what our lives, all life is all about. It's about moving forward. I will do this with a broken heart, and I will do it with a glad heart because I am called to serve here and beyond here, called to serve you as minister to the best of my ability. And now that will mean to part well. Leave well, bid each other farewell, and mean it. And I mean it. I want you to fare well. This is a strong and healthy congregation. I have watched you in amazement build capacity, build good governance, grow from little to large with integrity and joy and a little struggle, build a sanctuary, become a sanctuary, give away your Sunday collection, raise $25,000 on a single morning last spring after George Floyd was killed to replenish the neighborhoods, send dollars and love to Black-owned agencies and organizations led by people of color. I've watched you make space in your spirit for this work, in your self-identity as a people, in your imagination, what it really means to be a church in the world. And so I know, I have no doubt, and the board has no doubt, you will blow past this pledge drive that we're in right now with unparalleled generosity because your church matters that much to you. The good you can do in the world, the good you do for one another. And this is the year, we're close to the moment, in fact, when you can come back and be here together. Strong is what you make each other. You have a beautiful staff team. Anna, Aaron, Nico, Sarah, Baxter, Amy, Carol, Jack, John, Connie. They are so ready to move forward to travel with you across the threshold of this pandemic time into your new future. And some things you'll carry with you, safe and sound. Traditions, values, core convictions, friendships. They'll come with you through the door and settle back into the spaces here, refurnish this house that's been empty too long, fill it all up with meaning and with love. And some things, old ways of being, old ways of seeing the world and the place of the church in regard to the world, some old ways just don't need to come forward at all. It's a new day for you here. Anything is possible. If you can step into it lightly and bravely, unencumbered by that old phrase that drags down every church of every denomination everywhere, namely, we've always done it this way. Don't ever say it. There's no going back, and there is no one right way to go forward. Way will open. You have no idea where the path will take you, and that is the gift of this time. You're in free fall now, like me, in a good way, held by grace and by the larger love that transcends all our understanding. In just a moment, let's hold silence here together. A prayer for spring, even though I know it's supposed to snow tomorrow. A prayer for spring, for hope, for you. An incantation, magic spell for all that lies ahead. Rain, rain down. Wash away the weariness of our plague-bound year. Bring spring. Robins, geese, cardinals, sing out, cry out, squawk, be loud. Nothing but your raucous, noisy music can thaw these frozen lakes. Earth, mudify, squishify, soften, show us once more how to melt into hope, ready our spirits like soil for new seeds. People, get ready. Open your windows, walk out your doors, be grateful and glad. There is no denying this light spilling everywhere. The world and the work call out to you now, and you who have made it this far, you who are not alone, but companioned by trees and the light and the birds and each other, you are given this day to rejoice in, to wander around in and wonder anew. How shall you set your hand, your intention? Lift your gaze, raise your voice, your fist, your kids, for love. Every breath, the work of love. One year ago, we recast the lyrics to the first hymn in our gray hymnal, Prayer for This House. We wanted to offer a blessing on your houses, the homes that would hold you through the months of pandemic lockdown, and pray for safety for those spaces, pray for peace within them, pray for health and healing. And this is still our prayer, so we're going to sing it that way once more. But this morning, I want also to sing a blessing for this house, this sacred space that belongs to you, where you belong. This house of hope and history is waiting patiently, lovingly, for the day you all come back. So we're going to sing the hymn both ways, sing it twice. Prayers for the spaces that hold us and this space that will hold you always. Prayer for this house.
May nothing evil cross your door, and may your fortune never pry about your windows. May the roar and rain go by faith made strong, the rafters will withstand the battering of the storm. Your house through all the world grow chill, keep you warm. Peace shall walk softly through each room, touching your lips with holy wine, till every casual corner blooms into a shrine. With laughter drown the raucous shout, and though the sheltering walls are thin, may they be strong to keep fear out and hold love in. With laughter drown the raucous shout, and though the sheltering walls are thin, may they be strong to keep fear out and hold love in. May nothing evil cross this door, and may your fortune never pry about these windows. May the rain go by faith made strong, the rafters will withstand the battering of the storm. This house, though all the world grow chill, will keep you warm. Peace shall walk softly through these rooms, touching our lips with holy wine, till
with laughter drown the raucous shout. And though these sheltering walls are thin, may they be strong to keep hate out and hold love in.
Please join me in the closing words. May peace dwell within our hearts and understanding in our minds. May courage steel our will and love of truth forever guide us.
Thank you all so much for being here today. Please join us at 11:15 for Cyber Social Hour, a wonderful way to connect with friends old and new. The link is in the chat. 2 quick reminders. Please remember to make a pledge if you're able to support our church financially. And for our Easter service coming up in April, we're seeking your pictures for a slideshow. Recent or vintage, send photos of yourself or your family, baskets, bunnies, flowers, green grass. You get the idea. We're all ready for glimpses of spring and renewal. Be well, friends. We are sending you love from all of us at all of our locations. Strong is what we make each other.
Guide my feet while I run this race. Guide my feet while I run this race. Guide my feet while I run this race. For I don't want to run this race in vain. Race in vain. Hold my hand while I run this race. Hold my hand while I run this race. Hold my hand while I run this race. For I don't want to run this race in vain. Race in vain. Stand by me while I run this race. Stand by me while I run this race. Stand by me while I run this race. For I don't want to run this race in vain. Race in vain. Search my heart while I run this race. Search my heart while I run this race. Search my heart